of your ability to pay, we're going to work just as hard for everybody. It doesn't matter if you've paid us or not. We're going to do
Right.
everything we can to get your pet home.
Right. So you get the free flyers, you get the email alerts, you get what you get from the paid groups without having to pay. So and you're now hooked into such a huge network that it's even better. So,
Well, right. And that's
yeah.
it. A lot of these other services, they're not like people monitoring.
Mm-mm.
So, what the Lost Dogs of America group brings and the Lost Cats of America, because they also participate with us, is that volunteer support. So there's somebody looking at your report. There's somebody actually seeing it and looking and putting it on the Facebook page and catching an error, for instance. A lot of times it's put in, it's a found pet, but they put it in as a lost pet. Well, that's not going to filter correctly in the database. Or, you click, it's a cat, but you click the dog button,
Right.
because you're upset and you're doing
Right.
things really quickly. And so it's important to have that human touch,
Yeah.
to have a volunteer that's looking at those reports and, seeing things that need to be corrected, or trying to get the right information if it's missing information.
Hmm.
So we bring that with our group, with lost dogs and lost cats and helping lost pets. We bring all of that volunteer support to it,
Hmm.
which is much more helpful. And like I said, a lot of times, you just need that person there. You need to talk to somebody because you don't know what to do. And so it's good to have those resources.
Yeah. And I think, being part of the Lost Dogs of America, having them be a part of it, you also get maybe what do I want to say? That personalized touch where they know the area where you are, or somebody in that, one of their volunteers knows where you are, so they can help you more specifically. So that's a really important part of this whole collaboration to me, because that's one of the things that I didn't like before about those other things, that you'd post on that and everybody thinks, oh, that's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but they're not telling you anything else to do.
Right.
They're not helping you out in any other way. So this gives you that extra help besides all the other benefits of the flyer and the email blast and whatever else.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you're right. The volunteers who are in the areas where they're monitoring those posts and monitoring the reports coming through are able to say, hey, here are other places to look. Here are other shelters. These are the ins and outs of our area, of our county. And so that is
Hmm.
really, really helpful.
Hmm.
And you brought up a good point just earlier about, and we've seen this happen a lot, where an animal is lost close to a county line or is picked up and transported across the county line to another shelter. So I thought I just wanted to call that out because I think that's really important. People tend to look right in their general area and don't expand their search radius.
Hmm.
Um, but it happens where they end up in other shelters in other counties. A lot of times people pick up a pet and for whatever reason keep driving with them until they, get to a shelter, which may or may not be in the same county.
Yeah, it's true. And I had it happen once specifically that I was made aware of, and we luckily got that pet back because it was way north in the other county and dropped off at a shelter, way out of I mean, just the guy found it in Sarasota and ended up in Wellesley Chapel, which is a long way up, Hillsborough County, the next, well, actually 2 counties away, that one was. Um, but then just this past week, I had 2 instances of pets found in Sarasota and brought to Tampa, to Hillsborough, or to that shelter in Tampa. And so in just one week, there were 2 of them. So it just got me thinking, if there were 2 in one week that I was aware of, how many more must there be? You know,
Yeah.
that really concerned me. So, this type of thing is extremely helpful for that. But, and also just making people aware of it is extremely important.
Right. And we tell people helping lost pets has a little different search tool than we do. Theirs is more map based, and ours, we have a map on it as well. But in both situations, when you're searching for your lost pet, it kind of defaults, at least in ours, to like a 20-mile radius. But if you don't see anything, keep increasing that radius, because you don't know how far your pet has traveled or if somebody's picked it up. So we always say keep increasing the radius. Cats, especially, depending on how long they've been gone, they go farther than you might think. So a lot of people will go in and they'll just search like a 5-mile radius. So we always try to say, no, keep expanding. The longer they're gone, the bigger the radius.
Right. And you never know if somebody's picked them up, if they've escaped from that person, because, it's always, educate, educate, educate. And, I don't know how many times people have said, oh, it can't be. That dog could not have walked that far. Well, you're right. It couldn't. But maybe somebody picked it up.
It's exactly
somebody
right.
probably picked it up and it got away from them. And that's how it ended up there. It got there somehow. And yeah, it probably did not walk, but it got there somehow. So you just have to, open your mind.
That's
and
right.
don't see everything so black and white,
Exactly. We had one just recently, and it was a pretty far piece away, and so they weren't sure, but the owner thought that could be my pet. Well, not only had it been picked up, taken in by somebody else, they'd given it a haircut, and then it escaped. So it did look completely different, but it was the same dog. They had their proof of ownership. The dog recognized them when they went to pick it up. But yeah, they'd taken it in and trimmed it up a little bit. So it was a long way from home and had a haircut.
Yeah,
So.
and I wonder if that was on purpose. We just had that happen like last week, I think, that somebody found a pet and purposely cut it because she said she wasn't giving it back, but thankfully it was gotten back.
Oh my goodness.
But, I know that's why people just really, really, really need to microchip your pets and keep them safe at all times.
Absolutely. Yeah, that microchipping is so important, and keeping the registration up to date is so important. I don't know. And I know you've done this too. I just saw a post that you did not too long ago about microchips not being registered. And we just see that all the time. It's, they were chipped, but there's no registration or there's no valid phone number. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And that's one thing too, that as long as we're speaking about that, the phone number thing, somebody brings the pet into a vet's office or a shelter, wherever, to get scanned, and it's registered, let me call them. So they call and they think they're leaving a message. Hardly anybody says, hi, this is Patty, leave a message, whatever. I do, because that's what I've always done. But most people don't. It's just like, leave a message after blah, blah, blah. So people leave a message and they don't know that it's not that person, because the phone number has been recycled. People change their cell phones a lot. They change different carriers, whatever. So I always say, if you don't hear back within a day, it's probably not the right phone number,
Exactly.
And I would say 90% of the time that is the case,
Absolutely. They're going to call back. If their pet is missing, they're going to call you back. So if time goes by, chances are it's not a good number.
Right. Or in the case of the one I just have been doing the last 2 days, it was still registered to the original owner. And sometimes they won't call back because, it's not my pet anymore. I'm not even going to bother calling. So I always say, please call, whether it's your pet or you've rehomed it, And then generally people will return the call if it is a valid phone number still. But
yeah. It's important to keep those microchip registrations up to date.
Yeah.
We do, and I know Lost Dogs of America does this too. We do microchip screenings at events where we'll scan for microchips, and we'll just look it up and just say, hey, here's the last time that you updated your information. And you wouldn't believe the number of times people say, oh my gosh, I've moved since then.
Yeah.
Not even thinking about it. And so, we just encourage them, please, please, please get that information updated. Because there's nothing, it's just sad when you see the dogs at the shelter and they've been microchipped, but they can't get a hold of the owners. And there's,
I know. So Leslie, I'm so glad that you've been with us the last 2 weeks talking about Pet FBI, and we're down to like a minute left. So if you could just tell everybody one more time how they find your webpage and learn more about your organization.
Yep, they can go to petfbi.org. And there you can search for lost pets. You can post a report, and we also have a lot of advice and tips for you if you need that. So petfbi.org.
All right, great. Well, I want to thank you again for being with us. You've given a lot of good information, and both of these, both last week's, which was about the 4th of July safety and just all around keeping your pets safe during different festivities, and then today are going to be on Let's Talk Pets and on Society Bites Radio, so you can always go back and listen to them. So thanks for being with me today, Leslie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been great.
Thanks. All right, everybody. So until next time, remember that a lost pet can't tell anyone where it lives. So be sure your pet is microchipped and wearing its ID tags. And if it is chipped, be sure that chip is registered and up to date. I'm your host, Patty G. Russo, and this has been Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Thanks for joining us today. And until next time, take care and keep your pets safe.